Hello, welcome back to Brandon Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, we're gonna try to explore one of another new node inside Sverchok, and that's related to Grease Pencil. So yeah, this is quite a new node, and probably it's gonna be like a work in progress for quite a while. But this node is particularly powerful, I think, because it's allowing Sverchok to draw just like grease pencil, but in a procedural kind of way, and that kind of be like slightly more technical sometimes, but also you can do some things that you might not think of possible. So anyhow, so I'll delete this grease pencil and start again. So currently, we already know that we can do this. We can draw grease pencil in the 3D view, and we can use this object selector, object ID selector, and we have this grease pencil, so we can kind of get the data out of this grease pencil strokes. And this guy, even like a simple strokes, right away we are presented with these possibilities, these options to use to pick a frame, or if you have like multiple frames. But for now we just gonna stay on an active frame, and by default this pass point is on, and that's if you check with the stethoscope, with the pass points on, it's kind of passing all the grease pencil points, and that means you can actually output it out you as a viewer draw or viewer bmesh as a real, like a 3D objects. If you want to remesh the grease pencil. But what this node's allowing us to do is to actually to modify the grease pencil drawing using Sverchok. So instead of passing the points, we're gonna pass the data block. So instead of this coordinates vectors, if we want to look at the data and passing it into the nodes. And let me save this Sverchok grease pencil demo. And this actually allowing us to go inside this grease pencil and then make changes. There are actually a couple of things that you can already do that's kind of unusual, kind of like doing procedural drawing of circles, and it can be slightly tricky, but and also we can work in a 2D space and 3D space, and I'm not quite sure yet, but so far 3D space has been working for me. So currently we know that we have three kind of data, three strokes of grease pencil coming from this guy. But what we want to do is to modify the grease pencil itself. So if we plug in something like line, for example, so I have this line nodes that's gonna generate like a line in Sverchok. If I plug this into this guy, the data changes, you see. Suddenly we only have a single strokes in here, and if I increase it, so we have like a normal line. So it's like drawing a line. And what else we can do here? We can change the pressure, so we have control over the pressure. There's draw cyclic, which is currently we can't see the difference. But if I use like a randomized input vertices for this location coordinates or the vectors, you will see right away is that this is gonna give us this cyclic. So you can tell the difference. This is the first points, this is the last points. If we turn on draw cyclic, it's gonna connect to. Okay, that's clear enough. Maybe we just leave it like this for now. And we can control the number of vertices to generate the lines. This is because we use the randomized input vertices, we get this kind of rough lines. We can randomize the seed. So this is still like grease pencil. Just like when we are working in Sverchok and using things like viewer draw, this guy is almost like similar. So this is like drawing a line, and then this one is we are randomizing the vertices, so we get that result. So very similar, except that this guy is grease pencil, and with grease pencil you have a couple of specialty, like you can colorize the strokes, you can change the opacity. So it's almost like a kind of like a viewer, but it's actually more than a viewer because this is grease pencil, and you can do more on top of it. There's also fill, and I haven't played around with it much. There's one thing with the grease pencil. I think currently the Sverchok grease pencil output is actually made of like a bunch of disconnected line. So I can see that kind of broken lines, but it won't be too much visible anyway. If we have like a lot of lines, we can't really see it. Oh, that's still visible, but I guess it doesn't matter too much. Currently we are just exploring the possibilities. So instead of random line, for example, we can use other nodes, like for example if you want to use the sine functions. So that's the sine function, is expecting some kind of value. We can use the vertices data, for example. Okay, don't crash. We know that the x is going up, so we can plug in the x into this guy, and the output goes into the y, and we should get like a sine wave there. So that's clear enough. We can do the usual, like math functions, maybe multiplier. This is controlling the amplitude, for example. Save again, and this guy can control the, what is this, the period. So longer period and a shorter period. And what else? We can control also the offset. That's the offset. And we can also control the position of the curve. I think it's kind of, now it's just like animating. So yeah, they are all like the usual like basic functions you can do in Sverchok. They are basics, but also if you are not like a technical person, this can be like surprising at first, but don't worry, because you'll get used to it, to see all this. It's actually pretty cool that you're able to do this. So for example, instead of using line, you can use, so if I cut it, maybe we can use like a random vector. Random vector is going to generate a lot of points. So if we plug this into that guy, so we get that kind of random lines, and this guy is actually 3D, right? So that's another possibilities. Currently, sometimes this the stroke and fill in here doesn't work. If I switch this to 2D space, I don't see anything. So that's also like a big question for me. Maybe if we switch to orthographic view front, see orthographic. I don't know what's this 2D space for. Go back to 3D space for now. We can control the color from here, opacity and strokes. They're all like this kind of data, which is I know from the examples by Zephy, the developer of these nodes, we can actually use the set objects ID set mk2. So from this frame output, we can plug into this guy, and this is for example color, and we just need to type it like this, and we can use our own value. See, that's red and green we get yellow, and blue we get white. So we can control the color that way. All this so there's a stroke color, and there's this fill color, there's this opacity, fill, and opacity strokes. You can control all of them using this object ID set. Yes, so instead of using this, you can also use the color in, for example. So this could be a lot of takes, but if this is the first time you are using Sverchok, this is also a good opportunity to kind of review some of the basics, like how to use color and things like that. You can use HSV here, see, pretty easy. And the cool thing is that you can also have multiple data, for example. So multiple strokes, that's what I want to say. So if we repeat this random vector, for example, let me think how to repeat this. I think we can repeat it like this way. So we have five random vector goes into this guy. See the data, we have 5. We can have like 5 different color. I'm gonna use random number generator, value between 0 and 1, 5 of them, plug into the hue. Now we should have 5 different color. I think we have 5 different color here. There you go. It's updating. But they're a bit random. Instead of random, you can also use range float. Range float between 0 and 1, 5 of them, plug into the hue. Now we have like a rainbow color, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe something like that. Currently all the color is on top of each other. That's why we are seeing like this kind of weird color line. We need to randomize the seed for each one of these random coordinates. So now we need to use range integer. So yeah, it might be kind of a little bit too technical, too fast, but I don't know. Don't worry too much about this. I'm just gonna show you like a lot of things. This is 5. We get 25 data, which is not good. Maybe I did something wrong here. Okay, that's probably better. I don't need to use list repeater because this one is doing the factorizations automatically. Okay, so what do we have here? Pressures. This is also something that I only tried a few hours earlier. Okay, so we have 5 randoms coordinates being generated, and each one of them is slightly different. I'll simplify this a little bit. So there you go. See, this is like 1 points per color, and we have, see, now we have 10 per points. Currently, this grease pencil nodes also doesn't give us a way to easily move the matrix, so we need to probably move this guy manually. And let's use random points to, how many do we have? We have 5. Oh, this is like 10 points per per lines. So we have 5. Plug into this guy. Spread them apart. But we need to list split. Okay, so now we have like Power Rangers. 5 different colors, random coordinates. The strokes of this guy, the pressure, I think they're all like 0.1. If I'm not specifying the pressure, they're 0.1. So the first one seems to get the pressure number. So we need to also control the pressure. So random number, 5 random numbers for the pressure. Float. This doesn't seem to work with the 5 number, so I might need to do list split. And still doesn't seem to work with the pressure. Maybe I need to control it another way. Onion skinning, there's a thickness. Okay, there's its thickness. There's a pressure and there's also thickness. See, the thing with a grease pencil is there's a lot to take right away. So there's tinting and there's a lot. So it can be like quite overwhelming if you try to understand all of this at the same time. So maybe don't go too crazy. Don't worry about the pressure for now. Just gonna zero it out. Seems like this single value is controlling all of them. Interesting. So let's save this and file save as another one. And let's try to do one more thing. Instead of having random lines, maybe have like a circle grease pencil. So this is the data coming in, right? This is the actual node that kind of select the grease pencil data block, and then this guy is kind of modify the data block. So this is the coordinates coming in. If we change this into circle, we have circle. Right away the data is being reset and we have circle. Circle is not connected. We need to, if you want it to be connected, turn on draw cyclic. Okay, so we have circle and it's very, very thin. I'll make it thicker. And we can control the number of vertices. We can have triangle, hexagonal, pentagonal, whatever. But if we want to have 5 circles, we need to do like maybe list repeat or maybe list repeat. But I'm just gonna use a move. And random vector here to move the circle 5 times. Currently it's doing that. It's actually modifying the circle. We don't want that. We actually need to use list split for this. Split it. And so we have 5 data coming in. Circle. We need to use, maybe we need to use a list repeater. Five times. I think at this point I'm probably need to randomize this guy as well. I'll use random, maybe range integer, plug into the seed. Oh, there you go. 5 count 5. So we have 5. Probably I'm doing this the wrong way. There we go. Gonna quickly check the data. Okay, I cannot see my there's an error there. Random vector scale doesn't work. This one 5 unwrap, but level 2. No. It was actually working for a second just now. So that's not good, but we need to split it. Split size 1. And we need to repeat. Yeah, actually I have like a working version of this. Yeah, I think I'm trying to do too much, so I'm gonna save this. This is the one that doesn't work, but we have the working version somewhere. Probably I'll just okay. There's one example where it's actually working. This is slightly more complex, where I have 2 grease pencils. One is just my hand-drawn strokes, and the other one is kind of instancing all these circles on that other grease pencil. So it's 2 grease pencil, and they're kind of connecting with each other. Maybe this is for the next live noding. I have to come back to this, but we can close this one. So instead of, maybe I shouldn't go too far here. I shouldn't use the circle. Just go back to our lines. So this is actually complicated enough, this random Power Rangers line. That's actually pretty complicated as well. Still, but pretty basic, and I think it's a good opportunity to jump into Sverchok and try this procedural creations. So okay, we can draw lines like this kind of lines, and we can also draw random scribbles like this. So it's 2 examples. and this is how we can randomize the color. So there's a lot of theories for this single live noding. I think I'm gonna save this. Hopefully I can save this GIS because I think, yeah, it keeps giving me error. I think which one doesn't allow me to save? It's probably this guy, the color, or one of this object selector maybe doesn't allow me to save. So if you want to recreate this guy, the whole thing, you can just copy this manually. So currently this is one example. So random color, 5 random color for these 5 random lines. The random lines is being generated by this guy. And we are randomizing the position using the move. I'll tidy this up a little bit. That's the random position for 5 random lines, and we just plug it into the coordinates, and we are piping the data based on this grid pencil. That's one, and the other one is this sine wave thing, the basic classic example of sine wave. So if you ever wanna draw a sine wave using grid pencil, you can do it this way. Let me full screen this. Start with a line, and then this is to move the lines, and then vector out from the lines. We have all these functions. I'll repeat again. This is for the amplitude, this is for the period, and this is for the offset, and we pipe that in back using vector in, and it functions as the coordinates. Yeah, probably I should disable the blend file of this file. So that's one. There's another one. Oops. Two examples, and this is for random colors. We have 5 here. We only have single line, so things like that. Maybe I should, at some point I should do this again, maybe, and try to explain it better. But that's like a quick rundown of a lot of things. But basically the new nodes is this grid pencil nodes, and so far I managed to work on it in 3D space, and we have control. I'm not sure why this stroke and fill doesn't work, but it works if we are using this object ID set mk2. Okay, so yep, there's a lot of theory to take in one live noding video, but I guess I will come back to this next time. Maybe I just use a circle and make a bunch of circles, much easier to understand. Don't try to do too much with this, but give this a try anyway. Select the grid pencil data and use the grid pencil nodes to modify. So you can think of it like a modifier for grid pencil. So that way it's easier to understand. Maybe in the future we are able to maybe like just to instant and duplicates or clones like a grid pencil drawings. Maybe that's for the future, but for now it's like a very powerful nodes, but you need to understand some kind of procedural workflow inside Sverchok and get used to that, and then you can use this a lot easily, much more easy. Okay, I guess that's pretty much it for this live noding. If you have any question, feedback, just let me know in the comment section. I'll see you in the next video.